Today, we're unpacking an urban legend that takes something totally ordinary and literally twists it into a living nightmare. You know the feeling, right? The hum of a train engine late at night, the rhythm of the tracks, that cozy comfort of knowing you're almost home. Well, imagine all that comfort just suddenly vanishing into pitch black silence. We're going to break down the terrifying timeline of a late-night commute gone horribly, horribly wrong. So grab a seat and let's explore the chilling story of Monica.
Have you ever been the last person in a train car, or maybe walked through an empty station and felt that sudden icy prickle on the back of your neck? Psychologists actually call these areas liminal spaces. They're places of transition that our brains naturally perceive as incredibly eerie when they're suddenly empty. It creates this totally irrational feeling that maybe, just maybe, you aren't actually alone. I really want you to put yourself entirely in Monica's shoes as we walk through this timeline today. Because what starts as an everyday, exhaustingly normal routine is about to bridge directly into a dimension of pure terror.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the Midnight Commute. To really get the horror here, we need to establish Monica's baseline reality. She's a 21-year-old IT worker who just landed a great job through campus placement. And, like a lot of young professionals, she works absolutely exhausting hours. Her shift ends at midnight. After a long, tiring Tuesday, she casually rides her bicycle to the local railway station, parks it, and steps onto the platform. There's literally nothing special about this night. She just wants to get home and crash.
Now, notice how quickly her environment begins to signal that something is deeply wrong, yet it happens in these little ways we usually just brush off. On a normal night, the station has people, the schedule boards are lit up, everything's running on a clear system. But tonight, the LED display boards are flickering randomly, the schedule is completely blank, the platform is a total ghost town, and there are rolling power outages across the whole station. This is actually a textbook example of normalcy bias. It's that psychological phenomenon where our tired brains desperately try to rationalize clear warning signs of danger as, just a broken LED or a random glitch in the power grid.
Moving on to Section 2, the ghost train. This is where the isolation really starts to deepen.
So, let's map out exactly how this happened. She boards a nearly empty car. To drown out the dead silence and the few remaining passengers, she uses a completely mundane coping mechanism. She blasts loud music through her headphones, leans her head back, and falls asleep. But this totally blinds her to what happens next. At some unknown time, she's startled awake by a phone call from her dad just asking if she made the train. She looks around to answer him, only to realize the train is now pitch black. The lights are dead, there are no announcements, and the entire coach is completely, utterly empty.
Over the phone, her father tells her to just get off at the very next station. But think about the ticking clock of her commute here. Usually, this train takes exactly 12 minutes to travel between stations. Monica watches the minutes tick by. 15 minutes, then 20 minutes. The train is just refusing to stop. It's speeding through the darkness, entirely defying the laws of time and her usual route, and a massive wave of panic is seriously starting to set in. Desperate, Monica leaves her seat and sprints to the front of the car. She starts banging her fists against the driver's cabin door. She's knocking continuously, shouting for help. But all she hears is the clacking of the tracks outside. The cabin is completely unresponsive. This right here is the exact moment the reality of her situation clicks into place. She isn't just delayed, she is entirely trapped. Which brings us to Section 3, the chilling encounters. After what feels like an absolute eternity, the train's speed finally begins to drop. It slowly grinds to a halt. I want you to imagine the sheer terror of this next moment. She steps out onto an unnamed, pitch-black station. No lights, no signs, no people. She pulls out her phone to tell her dad exactly where she is, and he tells her to check her live location. But her GPS just spins. It literally can't track her. What do you even do when the technology you rely on for absolute safety tells you that you're standing in an untrackable void? Acting as her remote lifeline, her father comes up with what sounds like a logical survival plan. He tells her to get out of that dead station, walk down the tracks in the opposite direction the train came from, look for any sign of civilization, a church, a building, literally anything, and report back. Makes sense, right? But here's a critical insight. In real-world survival situations, logic often dictates moving towards civilization. But in a horror scenario, leaving your only shelter and heading out into the vast unknown is the most dangerous thing you could possibly do. This plan forces Monica off the platform and right out into the open, vulnerable darkness of the tracks. Just try to visualize this. It is pitch black. The only light is this fragile little beam from her phone's flashlight cutting through the dark.
As she walks down the tracks, her senses are just completely assaulted. First, it's the sound. Multiple heavy footsteps begin running directly behind her, furiously crunching on the gravel. She whips around to look, but there is absolutely nothing there. Then, an angry, disembodied voice loudly calls out her name from the void. Terrified, she just starts sprinting for her life.
Running frantically, she shines her light ahead and suddenly freezes in her tracks. There, hanging from a railway pole, is a woman, suspended completely upside down. Her hair is waving wildly in the wind, and she's laughing loudly. It's this piercing, unnatural sound just echoing through the darkness.
And this quickly builds into pure entrapment. Monica turns away from the laughing woman, only to see a strange man running directly toward her. His face is terrifying, looking like it's wildly painted. He's frantically waving his hands, warning her not to come any further down the tracks. She is totally boxed in now, the laughing horror behind her, and this terrifying painted figure rushing her from the front.
Panicking, she manages to scramble away from the tracks entirely and spots a car on a nearby road. She flags it down wildly. The window rolls down, and the driver looks completely normal. He calmly asks, "What are you doing on the tracks so late? Is everything okay? Get in." In that moment, a massive wave of relief washes over her. She's finally found a real person. She gets into the car, trembling violently.
But as she sits there, catching her breath, she realizes the driver is turning back toward the pitch-black station. She begs him to stop, saying she never wants to go back there. The driver pauses. He slowly turns his head around to look at her, a wide smile spreading across his face, and right before her eyes, his features morph and twist, transforming into the horrifying painted face of the man from the tracks. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the darkest rules of horror. The most terrifying shocks always come right after you're given a false sense of absolute safety.
All right, let's look at Section 4, the final twist.
Monica lets out a blood-curdling scream, throws open the car door, and runs blindly into the night. Sweating, hyperventilating, and with nowhere else to go, she actually runs back to the only shelter she knows, the ghost train itself. She scrambles inside, crawls under a passenger seat, and completely passes out from the terror. Eventually, she's gently woken up. A railway official is standing right over her. The lights are on. He hands her her phone, saying, "Your battery died. I charged it for you." It seems the nightmare is finally over. She immediately calls her father to come get her. But when her dad answers, his voice is frantic with confusion and fear. He yells, "Where are you? I've been worried sick. It's been 3 hours." Monica is stunned. To her, it felt like maybe an hour of terror, but an entire chunk of the night has just mysteriously vanished.
So the crucial point is, the entire night comes down to one terrifying number: 10.
Sitting in the station, Monica opens her phone's call history. She sees that during those missing 3 hours, she had dialed her dad's number 10 separate times. But the call log shows that not a single one of those calls ever actually connected. Think about what that means. That very first phone call on the train, the one that woke her up, the one where her dad told her to step off into the dark, it never actually happened. It was a supernatural trick. She had been completely isolated in another dimension for the entire night.
Her father finally arrives and rushes her into his car. As they carefully drive away from the station, back toward the safety of home, Monica leans her head against the glass. She glances up into the car's rearview mirror, and there, trailing silently behind their car in the dark, is the terrifying entity. It's still following them.
And that leaves us with this chilling question. Did Monica ever actually make it out of that untrackable void? Or is the safety of her father's car just another illusion on a ride that will never truly end? Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this breakdown showed you just how quickly the ordinary can turn into the unimaginable. Until next time, stay safe on your commute.